Let me start from the beginning. My ex-wife and I have been together for many years, and things seem to be going well. We had our ups and downs, of course, but we always worked through them. I've known her for a very long time because she's the daughter of a close family friend of ours. We met several times when we were growing up, but we were never more than just casual friends before we met unexpectedly at a work event of mine. We started talking, went out on a few dates, and the rest is history, as they say. My mom was overjoyed when she heard about us because my wife's late mother was a close friend of my mom. The two of them grew very close because I guess my wife could see her mom in my mom, and my mom was equally fond of her. She has always wanted a daughter, but my parents weren't able to have any biological children after me, and I'm the youngest of three brothers. So I guess you can understand that my wife and mom were much closer than the usual daughter-in-law and mother-in-law pair. Our marriage wasn't picture perfect, but I was happy and I thought she was as well. I was completely taken aback when one day, out of nowhere, she told me that she didn't love me anymore and that she wanted a divorce. I was devastated, but I tried to talk to her and tried to save our marriage, but she was determined that she wanted to leave me and wouldn't even tell me why. I asked her if she met someone new, but she refused to answer any of my questions, and she said that she didn't want anything in the divorce and only wanted the whole thing to be over as easily as possible. I was just in shock. I didn't want a divorce, but it's not like I could force her to stay, so I cooperated with her, and we were divorced before I could even process anything. During this whole time, my mom maintained a distance from the divorce. She told me that she was certainly upset that our marriage had to end, but that she had come to love my ex like a daughter and wanted to be there for both of us. I was initially quite upset by this, but realized that holding a grudge wouldn't help anyone and just decided to let it go. 2 months into the divorce, I started dating someone new. I wasn't looking for a new relationship, but when I met her, everything just clicked. I decided that she was the one I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. So after we had been together for a year, I proposed to her on our anniversary and she said yes. We started planning our wedding and everything was going great. I should mention that my mother was never happy with this relationship, and based on a few things she had said, I know that my ex-wife wasn't happy about me dating someone so soon, and she did not like the fact that I was getting married again. Well, I didn't care about her opinions on my life anyway, and just ignored my mom whenever she tried to drop in unwanted opinions. The wedding planning was going great, and I was looking forward to our intimate backyard ceremony when my mother dropped the bombshell. I wanted to get married in my childhood home, but my mother called me up one day a few months before the wedding and told me that she wouldn't be attending my wedding and that I couldn't use the house for the ceremony either. I was completely taken aback and asked her why she was doing this. But she was extremely vague and said that she was going on a business trip with my ex-wife around the time of the wedding and didn't want anyone in the house while she was gone. I was shocked and hurt. How could my mother choose my ex-wife over me and my new relationship? I tried to reason with her, but she wouldn't budge. She said that she had known my ex-wife for longer and that they had a special bond. I couldn't believe it. I felt like I didn't matter to her at all. After that, my mother completely ghosted me. She didn't answer my calls or my messages. She didn't even send me a card for the wedding. It was like I didn't exist anymore. I was hurt, angry, and confused. I couldn't understand why my mother would treat me like this. Fast forward a year, and I honestly thought I'll never hear from my mom again. I've been quite upset over this, but my wife has been incredibly supportive and makes everything better, honestly. But last night, I got a call from my mother out of the blue. She was crying, and she was begging for my forgiveness. I somehow made her calm down and asked her to tell me what happened. And guess what? She tells me that my ex-wife scammed her out of her entire retirement fund with some sort of investment scheme. My ex-wife had convinced my mother to invest all her savings in a business opportunity that turned out to be a complete fraud. My mother has lost everything. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to tell my mother that she deserved what she got for choosing my ex-wife over me. But another part of me feels sorry for her. My wife thinks I should meet her and give our relationship another chance, but I can't help feeling like she only reached out because money is involved and wouldn't care about me otherwise. I'm really confused, so any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. Most of you suggested that I should at least see my mom once and then decide if I want to let her come back into my life or not. I was still mad at her, but after all, she is my mother and she had been scammed by my con artist ex-wife, so I decided to meet up with her and hear about everything directly. When I saw my mother, I was shocked. She looked terrible. She had lost weight and she had dark circles under her eyes. She told me that she had been so ashamed of what had happened that she hadn't left her house in weeks. She was completely isolated and alone. I felt sorry for her and I wanted to help her. She explained everything about my ex-wife's business. To me, it was obvious that the whole thing was a Ponzi scheme, but my mom was naive enough to trust her and invest her savings. I asked her how much it was and couldn't believe my ears when she told me that it was almost the entirety of her retirement fund. Apparently, that woman had promised that not only would she get that money back, but she could also nearly double it. So she invested a few months ago, but then was told that the investments weren't successful and that they were facing a loss. She was then told that she wouldn't get the money back because she didn't meet her goals. She begged my ex-wife for help, but was told that there was nothing she could do about it. Eventually, she stopped responding to my mom's calls and texts and completely ghosted her. My mom had spent the last few months in complete panic about what to do and felt like she had no way out, which is why she contacted me. I'm honestly still having trouble processing everything she told me. I mean, I knew that my ex wasn't the best person in the world, but the fact that she would fall low enough to scam a person who genuinely loved and cared about her is still pretty unbelievable. I do feel bad for my mother. I wish she had reached out to me just once before handing over all her money. I haven't figured out what to do yet, but I'm going to talk to a few lawyers and see if we can't get my mom's money back. The problem is that money is a bit tight right now for me as well, so I can't afford expensive lawsuits. Any ideas would be highly appreciated. Update 2. Thanks for all the support, guys. We didn't expect it, and my mother appreciates all the kind words and knowing that she's not the only one in this situation. My ex-wife has gone MIA. She doesn't even live in her old apartment anymore, and we have no way of tracking her. She was so successful at duping my mom that she doesn't even know which company her money went to and doesn't have her papers because my ex-wife said she'd take care of all of that. It's incredibly sad, but there seems to be nothing we can do about it. I will support her financially as much as I can, and we're also looking at making some safe investments for her to build up some savings. We are thinking of turning my childhood home into an Airbnb and having Mom move into a smaller place somewhere close to my apartment. Again, thanks for all your support. We'll try to keep finding my ex-wife and I'll drop in an update if something comes up, but right now it seems unlikely. Update 3. Over the last few months, I have tried to support my mother as best I could. There's no easy way of getting her money back as we simply cannot afford a big lawsuit, but we have tried to rebuild our relationship. We started talking more and I tried to understand why she had chosen my ex-wife over me. She told me that she had always felt a special connection with my ex-wife and that she didn't want to lose that bond, which is why she agreed to spend the money even though she was scared. She also thought I would never want to see her again because she went no contact with me, which made her feel like my ex-wife was the only person she had left in the world. She seems to genuinely regret her decision and wanted to make amends. Now, a few months later, my mother and I have a much better relationship. We talk on the phone regularly and we even hang out in person. I still haven't forgotten what she did, but I'm willing to give her a second chance. I also feel sorry for her and the financial loss that she suffered due to my ex-wife's scam. It's a tough situation for all of us, but we're doing our best to move forward. I'm so sorry to hear what happened to your mom. It's incredibly heartbreaking to know that your ex-wife could be heartless enough to fall this low, even after your mom trusted her with everything and even took her side after your divorce. You are a good son for reacting the way you did. I hope you can find that woman and get some sort of justice. Have you considered a class action lawsuit against the frauds who did this to your mom? This is not something your ex did by herself, and there must be many other victims like your mom who got duped by the same people. I sincerely hope she gets justice and your wife faces the consequences of her actions. Next story. I, 23, female, have a good friend, 24, female, who I've known since high school. We'll call her Kathy for context. I come from a lower middle class family while Kathy comes from a lower class family. My family isn't rich, but I was fortunate enough to have my parents support me so I can focus on school, while Kathy's parents weren't able to do the same, so she had to support herself. I can't remember when it started, but Kathy would make comments about how super lucky I was to have my parents pay for my things. I didn't mind the comments at first, but recently her comments became more passive-aggressive and snarky. I just assumed she was stressed from trying to find a job after graduating. She would say things like, "I'm glad I didn't have to rely on my parents like my name did," or "Finding a job is hard since I didn't have it easy like my name." She would say these things around my other group of friends and put me in an awkward spot since they would agree with her sometimes. The other night, I was hanging out with Kathy and the rest of our friends, and we were talking about how we wanted to raise our kids in the future. Right away, I had an idea of where this was going. Kathy started saying that she was going to make her kids work for their own things and learn how to be independent. I had no problem with what she was saying until she said something like, "People who were given everything by their mommy and daddy their entire life don't know how to be grateful for things and wouldn't survive in the real world." I immediately responded that my parents supported me and I turned out to be just fine. I'm surviving in the real world. Why didn't I stand up for myself sooner? I'm actually a pretty vocal person, but for some reason I always stayed quiet on this topic. There's a stigma behind people who receive support from their parents, and I always felt ashamed to talk about it before. Stupid of me. But I'm slowly learning to become more open that yes, my parents did support me. 3. If it matters at all, my parents did not pay for my tuition. I had to take out loans, and those are my responsibility now. But they helped pay for a lot of things like buying me a car. Extremely thankful as this allowed me to get through school easier, and now I'm determined to repay them. 4. Did I show off my wealth to trigger Kathy's comments? No, because there's nothing for me to show off. I'm not materialistic. NTA, and agreed on this one, OP. Distance yourself to so-called friends that are as toxic as this. They are the ones who will celebrate your downfall instead of your success and happiness. You will reach a certain age and look back to this time and will regret it if you don't remove yourself in this equation. Anyone who puts you down doesn't deserve a time of day. NTA, while it sucks that Kathy couldn't get help from her parents like you did, that doesn't give her the right to act like an AH to you. And yes, Kathy is projecting the fact that she's jealous that your parents helped you while hers couldn't. Chances are she hasn't seen you as a friend for a long time. I think you should just cut off contact with her. And that friend who said you were insensitive, don't let a-holes pull you down. NTA, she's been picking at you for a long time, desiring some kind of reaction from you. She got one and it was pretty mild. You didn't call her names or degenerate her in any way. Why some of your friends think it's okay for her to constantly try to belittle you and make you feel bad, this one mild comment from you is insensitive. I think her comments were insensitive. Next story. I don't know if ages really matter, but I, female 21, was recently invited to a birthday party for my niece, female 11. She's the daughter of my sister, Ellie, female 30. Ellie's always been your health nut type of person, and for the last 3 months, she's been sticking to all natural carnivore diet. She only eats unseasoned meat, eggs or butter, and anything else is unacceptable. More power to her, because honestly, I could never do something like that. For my niece's birthday party, Ellie did a barbecue in their backyard. She made it very clear on the invites that all the food will be meat-based, and even seemed to brag about it. I've been a vegetarian since I was 12, and I've been a vegan for 2 years. I'm also kind of a picky eater, which I know can be annoying. It's why I never eat out. I messaged Ellie and told her I'll bring my own food to the party. Ellie got super offended and said that bringing your own food to a party is rude and told me I can go without food for a few hours. At this point, I'm pretty sure Ellie is just trying to be annoying because she knows I'm vegan. I told her if she's so dead set on me not bringing my own food to eat, then I just won't go. Ellie told me I'm being petty and to just suck it up, and that it's my niece's party and she doesn't need me pushing my agenda. I called her ridiculous and told her if me eating my own lunch at a party upsets her so much, she needs to evaluate her priorities. Ellie told me to just go screw myself and said I'm just being sensitive. I was so mad and ended up not going to my niece's birthday party because it was clear that Ellie didn't want me there and didn't want to cause drama in front of the kids. Ellie is now pissed at me for not going and said that I really upset my niece and that I'm a terrible aunt. I feel like I can't win in this situation, but I'm wondering if I was being an a-hole and I just can't see it. NTA. It is insanely rude as a host to not make sure there's at least one thing each guest can at least snack on. Nor should any host begrudge someone with very specific dietary needs from bringing their own. Expecting you to watch everyone eat and just hold off for a few hours while she kills kidneys is ridiculous. NTA, your sister should be somewhat aware at a minimum you're a vegetarian. She should let you bring your own food for that reason alone. What about sister's kids' friends? Also, any other guests? She's assuming there's no dairy, peanut, gluten, or other allergies? Or is she just assuming they can, one, not eat while others around them have a nice time and feel excluded, or two, somehow just stop having that allergy issues for the hours? If you want to have only a certain type of food for an event, that's fine, but don't be surprised when people need to bring their own stuff. NTA, I can understand not providing food. It's odd, but kinda okay if you're going to bring your own. Refusing to provide or let you provide food is bonkers. Blaming you for not attending when she's basically told you it's a barbecue you can't eat anything at and can't bring your own stuff is more bonkers. She's totally unreasonable. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.